Good day, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to another technical summary video presented by me, Letty Janse van Vuren. Our topic for today is the recent legislative changes to money laundering, and I specifically want to look at the changes to FICA. All right, I'm going to touch quickly on some of the other acts as well, but this is a quick 15-minute power summary so that we can just check that we've got everything all together. So on my welcome and my content slide, we're going to look at, first of all, why this is important. Then I'm going to quickly introduce you just to the General Laws Amendment Act again, the GLA, AML, CTF. I'll show you what all of these abbreviations are in a minute. And then I'm going to do an overview and summary of the most important FICA amendments, right? Because there's nowhere that you really find a good summary that's all together in one spot. So that's what I attempted to do with this TSV. Let's have a look at our first slide on the abbreviations. The GLAA is the General Laws Amendment Act. FIC, the Financial Intelligence Center, they are the ones that are just gathering information, right? They are not a regulatory body. They have supervisory bodies that report to them. Everybody reports to them. They are just gathering information. FICA is the Financial Intelligence Center Act, whether you call it FICA or the FIC Act, same thing, you just spell it differently. ML, money laundering, AML, anti-money laundering, CTF, combating terrorism financing, also sometimes referred to as CFT, combating the financing of terrorism, so either which way. An AI is an accountable institution. I know it normally stands for artificial intelligence, but when we are dealing with money laundering, AI is an accountable institution. And then FATF is the Financial Action Task Force that actually managed to go and grey list us. All right. They look at worldwide. So let's start off quickly by looking at why this is important. How is this relevant to auditors, independent reviewers, and accountants? Well, FICA is just another piece of legislation that your clients must comply with. You've got to assess compliance with it. If your clients do not comply with the relevant laws and regulations, of which FICA is one, then they are contravening certain laws and regulations, in which case you've got reporting obligations in terms of your NOCLAR, in terms of your code of conduct with whichever professional body you belong to, there will be NOCLAR responsibilities. It could include reporting to management, it could mean just qualifying your audit opinion, and it could even on an audit be reporting an RI or reportable irregularity to IRBA. Also, as an auditor and independent reviewer, you need to consider any amendments and regulations that are gazetted, specifically related to money laundering and terrorism financing. It is sort of the flavor of the year, right? We know that everybody is on about money laundering and anti-money laundering and terrorism financing and all sorts of things. So there's a lot happening, all right, with everybody running around trying to register and all sorts, because all of the legislation has an impact on the way that we do business. How is this relevant to your clients? Well, certain entities, specifically if they are accountable institution, they have a duty to comply with FIC, otherwise they could be held liable. And they should also be aware of all the amendments that are gazetted, right, the regulations and whatnot. As part of the introduction, in the past few months, I'd say about the past 8-9 months, we've seen a huge variety of amendments that have come through. Part of this was as South Africa's first legal fight against grey listing, because we were grey listed, and now they've gone and they've fast-tracked all of this so that we can get off the grey list. That's why all of these changes to money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism has taken place. So the changes began with the cash threshold requirements that changed for the first time since it came out in 2001. So it's been a while. And then also they included further accountable AIs, accountable institutions under Schedule 1. And then most recently, they then enacted the GLAA, which is then all the anti-money laundering. They call it the AML CFT Amendment Act, but it's the General Laws Amendment Act because it affects a whole bunch of other acts as well. So in addition to that, the regulations, the AML CFT regulations, those amendments came into effect on the 1st of February this year. So let's go and have a look at some of the most important amendments that you should be aware of. The GLAA amends these five main pieces of legislation. All of it has been incorporated into one, as I like to call it, holistic omnibus act, and that is the GLAA. So the GLA has changed or has amended FICA, and I've made some summaries on the next couple of slides because that's the crux of today. Then the Trust Property Control Act, which specifically talks about where companies and trust service providers are now there. Trust Property Control Act talks about trustees and the fact that they are now also supposed to report on beneficial ownership. There's also the Non-Profit Organizations Act, which places certain obligations upon them. The Companies Act, which now is enforced by CIPC, and they also now are requesting that companies and CCs also now record the beneficial ownership structures. So, and in addition to that, we've got the Financial Sector Regulation Act. So those are the five main acts, but a common thread through all of these is the emphasis on beneficial ownership and the control structures of the companies and the trust. Who owns who in the zoo? Where can they benefit? Where can they move money to try and mask where it's coming from? Because that's what money laundering is about. It's about putting distance between where the transaction originated as an illegal act or as part of proceeds from an illegal act, and then there's lots of transactions to put it through the wash and to distance and disguise its original origin, which was illegal. So that's the crux of money laundering. All right. Those five acts, and specifically the General Laws Amendment Act, was already done in detail. I've already recorded a summary on the General Laws Amendment Act, a TSV on that. So the technical summary video on that is available. Please go and see if you need more detail on the GLA specifically. All right. The FICA amendments, these are the main amendments and those are the effective dates. The first one that came into effect almost immediately was the day on which it was gazetted, was the cash threshold reporting amount as well as the reporting period. That has now changed. So I've got a slide for you on the detail on that, but that's from the 14th of November. The new AIs from the 19th of December, they had 3 months to register with FIC, which was by the 19th of March. And we'll have a look at that briefly as well. I just gave you a summary of who's new in the zoo. Then the next ones are DPIPs. These are your politically influential people. Your DPIPs, FPPOs, you'll see I've got a slide just to explain to you what that is all about. The last four, literally, the PIPs have changed to PEPs. And then we've got the proliferation financing inclusion, which is specifically included. Customer due diligence, which is discontinued in certain circumstances. So I just wanted to give you, because customer due diligence for the new AIs is a much larger thing. It's something that we've always done as part of our acceptance and continuance of clients. But this now specifically says that there is a way and there's an out where you can forego customer due diligence. So that's what this the FICA amendment is all about there. And then the administrative sanctions, I just wanted to quickly touch on that. So those are the main ones. Let's go and have a look at each one of these in a little bit more detail. The cash threshold reporting, as from the 14th of November, it is now 49,999. So anything above 50,000 now has to be reported to FIC. You've got your CTR reporting. So on your report, your questionnaire that you submit to FIC on an annual basis, they will ask you, did you have any CTRs? Did you report any cash threshold reports, transactions that were above the amount? And then you've just got to say yes or no. And if you say yes, how much? How many? So the CTR has almost doubled because it was 25,000. And it was always this way. I mean, it's been $10,000 in the States for however long. But for now, luckily, it has doubled in South Africa. Not that I think it's and it can be 49, it can be the 50,000, not just in one transaction, but it could also be a bunch of transactions that are related. So payments that are related, okay, to the same transaction. So it could be in individual amount or in aggregate. In addition to the amount doubling, the reporting period deadline has also been extended from 2 to 3 business days. Once you become aware of the cash transaction, you've got 3 business days to submit your CTR to FIC. And then in addition to that, from the 14th of November, the report to FIC must give you specific details, or must give FIC specific details, the date and location, a host of information on all the people that are involved, their gender, their population, all sorts of things, the source of the funds, details for their employer, and on top of the standard identifiers like their ID numbers and income tax numbers. So it's basically their whole pedigree. All right. So that's on cash threshold reporting, very important. FICA changes, the new AIs, right? Schedule 1 has been amended. There's new categories now, and I've just listed them for you here. There are 6 of them. It's the all high value goods dealers. High value goods dealers are where they sell an item with a value of 100,000 Rand or more, regardless how the payment is made. So you can do the payment in 5 equal payments of 20,000. You will still be regarded as an HVGD, a high value goods dealer, because the item is worth more than 100,000. Then trust and company service providers. This is where we as accountants fall, right? So if you assist companies, we've gone through all the definitions on these before. So if you are defined as a trust and company service provider, you are now an AI as well. Credit providers subjected to the National Credit Act, crypto asset service providers, the South African Mint Company, and then money or value transfer providers. Right, so all of those are now included in the list, and they all have to register with FIC. Right. Schedule 2, the list of supervisory bodies, has been amended, not to the best extent yet. There's still, I think, a lot of supervisory bodies that need to be appointed in order for FIC to get proper information from them. And then Schedule 3, all the reporting institutions have been deleted, specifically because the Krugerrand dealers are now included in the high value goods dealers, right? And then your cash dealers are also now brought up as part of these, the high value goods dealers as well. So everything is in there. And the effective date for this, 19 December. Right, PEPs. A PEP is a politically exposed person, and the change in the definition was just from a DPIP, which is a domestic prominent influential person. Right, so we've gone from a PIP to a PEP, and a foreign prominent public official to a foreign PEP. So those are just new definitions that we need to worry about. Proliferation financing and proliferation financing activity, that's now been prioritized because a definition for this has been created. And it says if it's relating to an activity that has or is likely to have an effect on providing a property, an asset, something that can be used for nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. So that is now specifically proliferation financing. All right. And then in terms of the risk management compliance program, your RMCP provision then has to be made for the proliferation financing risks, for if there are any products and services that are exposed in this regard. Custom due diligence, like I said, one of the bigger changes to custom due diligence, if you now suspect, if you are an AI, and you suspect that a transaction or activity is suspicious and unusual, and you reasonably believe that if you do a due diligence on this client, there's a tipping off risk. They might be tipped off and then not do what they were going to do. Then you can discontinue the CDD process and then just make the report. Okay. So you can forego the CDD, the customer due diligence, and simply do the report in terms of Section 29, and that is your suspicious or unusual transaction reporting. If you if an AI structures any transaction to avoid its reporting duties, it's also now an offense under the new amendments. So you can't go and try to structure any transaction so that you don't have to report on it. Okay, that will also be an offense under the new ones. Administrative sanctions. Everybody in South Africa, all businesses, because everybody is responsible for suspicious and unusual transactions. So you've got an obligation to try and avoid admin sanctions, and some of these sanctions might include the list as I've given them to you there. The source documents that are available in this regard, I've just referred you to the Control Regulation Amendments and the GLAA, so I've given you that in a nutshell. So just to sum up, AIs have got to get up to speed as soon as possible on FICA compliance. All the new AI sectors will have a grace period of 18 months. So we literally have, if you are a new AI, you have until June 2024 before FIC will come and issue financial penalties. But it didn't say that they will not come and inspect. So they might be using their supervisory bodies at this stage, right, to literally see if they can find out what's going on and what you are doing in terms of your FIC compliance. Right, so every single business in South Africa does have an obligation regarding anti-money laundering and to combat terrorism financing. If you have any questions or you still need more detail, please refer to other TSVs that I've done. You can see there's technical summary videos there. Our technical alerts that are published daily, I manage to do sometimes 1, 2, or 3 a day, which is published on LinkedIn. Please go and follow SA Accounting Academy. Our YouTube channel you can go and follow, very, very useful there. There are also webinars on demand where I've presented like a 2-hour video or whatever. You can go and follow that and purchase that and do it at your own leisure. And then we've also got our MCLU subscription, right, so that you can stay up to date on all the changes on a monthly basis. So, ladies and gentlemen, on a powerful note, that was the latest FICA changes in a nutshell. I trust that you enjoyed the video. Thank you and goodbye.